Jerry Pflugradt was a very outspoken person. He was a truck driver. He owned semis. He knew everybody. He was a very nice person, but outspoken.
It's okay.
He didn't trust. He did not trust the doctors for anything that was going on, but his health wasn't good. But he was a hard worker. He just kept going. Periodically, he was passing out. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
I need to go back to Jerry first. But we were together 35 years. And he was just a one-of-a-kind person. Truly. He loved life. And, either one of us were political. We never even watched the news. We never voted. We didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But, he had 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids. I had 2. He raised my kids. He was a great stepdad. Great. Had everything they wanted. He spoiled me to death. I had everything I wanted. And he took his life.
There's you guys at the lake. You guys like the lake?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we did. We lived there for 3 years until my boy was getting in trouble. So we moved back home to be with him. But yeah, we loved the lake. He just loved life. He loved hunting, fishing, boating. He loved just taking road trips. He would just take off. We would be gone all day, go through all the little towns and stop. He would stop at antique malls for me. He didn't particularly like it, but he would stop because he knew I did. Yeah. He would stop at garage sales for me. He was just a great guy. He really was. He was a great husband. He found kind of hard at times.
And he found Bigfoot.
Yeah. He found Bigfoot. Now that was we decided to sell our house in Savannah back in 19, and we bought a 5th wheel, and we were going to become snowbirds.
Oh, nice.
We had this big old plane, but like I said, he was kind of unhealthy. He just worked too hard, didn't take care of himself, didn't eat right. He loved his snacks. And, we were down in Branson, and we were working for a campground RV place, resort. It was Cooper Creek Resort and RV in Branson, Missouri. And he was passing out periodically. But he wouldn't go. He refused to go to the doctor. And he had high blood pressure because his face would get beet red. Mm-hmm. We were there for about a year and 2 weeks. And he's like, we need to go home. He said, I don't feel good. So we came home, and we got here in July back home. And in December, he went to work. He was driving a pallet truck. He was working just part-time, retired. I just had retired. And, he was still passing out periodically. And he went to work, and he came home and said that he slipped and fell on a pallet and fell on his upper back on a big boulder, a rock. And he took forever to get out from under the boulder. And he came home and he said, I think I hurt myself really bad, but he wouldn't go to the doctor at all. I begged him, and he got mad. And so 4 days went by, and it was right after Christmas, the 27th. And he couldn't breathe early in the morning.
And this was 2021, right?
Yes.
Yeah, 2021.
Okay. And he couldn't breathe. So we went to the emergency room, and I told them that, he couldn't breathe. And they took him in this little room, and they put this machine on him, but they turned the machine. And at the time, I didn't think anything. You know what I mean? I just didn't. I was so nervous about him. And they showed the nurse and said, he should be dead. He walked into the hospital and they said his oxygen level was 30. And anyways, they took him back and they said he had COVID. And I said, no, he doesn't have COVID. He's been having issues, but they wouldn't listen to me. And the doctor said, it doesn't matter. I said, he won't take the test. And she said, it doesn't matter. We'll put him down as COVID anyways. And I'm just like, she left the room and I'm like, Jerry, you don't have COVID, honey. I said, just take the test because you don't have COVID. I knew he was having heart issues. That's why he was passing out, high blood pressure, probably hardening of the arteries or something. His vein on his neck, you could see bulging. They wouldn't listen. They put him down as COVID. I told him to do the test. I wished I wouldn't have, but I did. They said he had it, and they took him up. I didn't see him for 4 days. I called him. He went in on a Wednesday. I was able to talk to him Wednesday. He said that he could order something on the menu, but even that evening on Wednesday, this was early Wednesday morning when he went in. By Wednesday evening, he called and told me, he said, and he was video calling. He said, they told me I could order something on the menu, but I can't figure out how to order anything. He was very confused already. I mean, Jer was a very smart man. And he was confused, and I just thought maybe, he was just so sick. And I said, honey, the nurses will help you. Well, no. Anyways, by Thursday morning, no nurse would answer the phone. He wouldn't answer his phone. And I told him, do not sign anything. Do not accept anything. And also in that conversation, he said a little nurse come in and said, why are you DOA in the computer? You're too young to be DOA. And I said, oh my God, honey. I said, you need to talk to them. And he signed paperwork, but he didn't even know what he signed. So they had given him something to confuse him.
When you say DOA, did you mean DNR? Do not resuscitate?
DNR.
Okay.
Resuscitate. He said, I don't want to go on the machine, but I want to live.
Okay.
Anyways, he was on there. And on Saturday, they wouldn't answer. So on Friday morning, I got him a backpack ready, and I stormed up to the hospital. I didn't talk to anybody at the front desk. I knew they were on the 5th floor, the COVID patients. So I just got on the elevator and went in. And the door was shut going into the, the hospital itself. And as soon as I went in there, the 2 elevators opened, and it was 2 cops. And they're like, what are you doing up here? And I said, well, they won't answer the phone. The nurses won't answer. My husband's in there, and I'm worried about him. And I'm hearing all these things about what's going on to these patients. And, I said, I'm not leaving till the nurse comes out. And he contacted them, and the nurse come out, and she said, he's fine. And I said, why isn't he answering his phone? He's under treatment. And then Saturday, a nurse calls me, and she says, I think you need to get up here. And I'm like, oh my God, I hear that when the nurse calls that they're dying. So I just started freaking out. And I hung up, and then another nurse called. And she's like, they're all bringing up this DNR and all this crap. And so I just got dressed real quick, called his sister, and I went to the hospital. And when they let me in his room finally, but I had to wear all this gear. I looked like an alien. And I went into his room, and he was just out of it. They had his air thing. It was so high. It was blowing so hard. You could blow dry your hair with. Yes.
The
and he
BiPAP.
kept trying to take it off. And They kept putting it back on, and then they left the room, and he kept grabbing at his crotch. And I'm like, what's the matter, honey? And he couldn't talk. He couldn't even move his arms and legs. But his one arm, he could barely move, and he just kept rubbing up against himself. And I pulled his covers back, and he was in the same jogging pants as when he went into the hospital on Wednesday morning. And he was sweat from his up to his chest all the way down. He'd been laying there pissing on himself, and he was beat red. He was raw. And I just went out in the hallway and just started screaming bloody murder. And nobody came for a while. Finally, they showed up. I mean, it was just crazy. They finally showed up, and I said, what the hell? How can you treat somebody like this? Look at him. I said, you get me something to clean him up. And I cleaned him up. But he was so red. I mean, just beet red. Well, I guess Friday, and they didn't even tell me. I found out when I got all of his records. He freaking had a major heart attack and a stroke on Friday. They never did tell me. Never did call me and tell me. Never told me. I read it in his records. So I got him cleaned up.
So at this point, how many days is he in the hospital? About 5 or 4?
He went on Wednesday, and this was Saturday.
This was Saturday. Okay, so. Okay.
Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that night, he went crazy. He pulled the CPAP up. He tried to stand up. He wet all over himself. He fell. They all come running. And they just screaming. Bend him. And
now, up to that point, had they asked you about the vent, or had they talked to you about any medication?
Yes. Okay. Right before, when I got to the hospital, I was telling them, I said, he doesn't want to be on the vent. And they said that's the only way, more or less, that they'll save him if he gets on the vent. And I said, there's got to be other ways. And his sister's sitting there, Kim, he needs to be on it so he can relax, so he can heal. And they wouldn't they wouldn't do anything until they took me into the room. And the doctor was asking Jerry, do you know who this person is? Jerry said, yes, that's my beautiful wife.
Oh.
And he asked him his name, my name, his age, the year. He documented all this. So when it was time for him to go on the ventilator, they were probably going to blame it on me. I don't know, because when he completely lost it, and everybody's yelling, there's like 7 or 8 people holding him down. He's such a big, strong guy. And I'm just like screaming and carrying on. And the doctor says, what do you want me to do? And I said, save his life. To him, that meant vent him. So they vented him. He was on the ventilator for 14 days. 14 days. They kept saying he's not ready to come off. I kept telling him, get him off. I was begging for ivermectin. I ended up upsetting 2 doctors to the point where they stormed out and never came back again. They sent other doctors because I was asking them, begging them for ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, anything. They would not do it. And then he ended up getting mold in his lungs.
Yes.
From the vent. And they tried to say everybody has that mold. Then I said, no, they do not. But when they pulled it out right there, and it was just like black. right
Yeah.
in front of me and threw it in the trash. It was just disgusting. They finally got him off of it. They let him come to. He seemed fine. He really did, except he couldn't hardly talk because that tube was so big down his throat. It just destroyed it.
Let me, before you go on, before he went on the vent, what kind of medications was he given? Was he given remdesivir?
Yes. Thursday evening, because he called me and he told me, see, thank you for asking me these things because I'm forgetting. He had called me on Wednesday evening and he said that they were going to start him on the protocol tomorrow night. He was sorry. He was going to do the protocol. He wanted to live. And I'm like, no, honey, please don't. And he said, I'm sorry. I have to try it. I want to live. So I didn't argue with him anymore. I said, okay. I didn't know what to do.
So basically they were telling him, like, if you don't do this, you're going to die.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And so finally, I didn't want to argue with him. He's sick. He's in the hospital. Also, when I went into his room, they had taken his phone and shut it off and put it clear across the room.
Say that again?
They shut it off. And he also told me they took his phone and shut it off and put it clear across the room. So he couldn't get a hold of it. There was no other phone in there for him to call or help or anything.
Yeah,
and
so
it was so dark.
He couldn't communicate with you.
He couldn't even get up at that point.
Yeah. So
he had that stroke that done him in.
Right. So was there any, did they ever mention to you or to him, or did he ever mention anything about his vaccine status?
After, well, not till towards the end, I had his doctor's nurse come in because I upset him. So she come in and she said, if he would have been vaccinated, probably none of this would have happened. And she was blaming it on me. And she was saying more or less, you're not vaccinated either. And I said, you know what? I said, I'll never get vaccinated. So, just leave the room, please. Just leave the room. And she did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he sent his nurse in there.
Yeah, because
it was just ridiculous.
That's very common that we hear that. And unfortunately, it worked. A lot of people did run out and get the shot because they were able to frighten them like that. So it was very.
Well, my husband and I didn't follow. We went right. Everybody else went left. You know what I mean? I mean, we knew something was up, believe me. And after he passed, that's when I went.
Yeah. So, all right. So the medications, so they gave him remdesivir. Obviously they gave him pain they gave him all these medications, denied the ivermectin. So now let's go back to so at any point, well, let's go back to so he was on the vent for 14 days. During that time, were you allowed to be in there with him, or
I was there every day with him all day.
Okay. And while he was on the vent?
I went early in the morning and I left later, yes, while he was on the vent.
Okay, well, that's good. That's probably why he lasted as long as he did. So so they made a decision to take him off the vent, and you were describing that, and so he had the mold, and then so take it from there. So once he got off the vent, so he initially survived the vent, but but there were problems because now you got the
Oh,
black
absolutely.
mold. Yeah.
Yeah, he had got the mold, and they didn't take care of his catheter. They didn't clean it properly because he ended up getting a really bad infection from
Yeah.
it, and that's pretty much what done him in. But they'd given him a saline shot towards the end, and that's what done him in. Yeah, between that and the catheter giving him that infection. But yeah, he came to, and they had him out of the ICU within like a couple hours. I heard the doctor in the hallway say, "Get him out of the room. We need it." And I'm just like, "Holy cow, he's been on there 14 days and you're already pushing him out." But they put him in like it was called in the same hospital on a different floor, but it was owned by somebody else. It was like a treatment center, recovery center or something, with little bitty rooms. I mean, and as soon as he came into the room, I had 3 people come in and just say, "Jerry's not going to make it. What do you want to do?" And I'm just like, "Get out of here. He is going to make it. Get the heck out and don't you come back." And they left. And he actually ended up coming to, and one day, one day he laughed. You couldn't hardly understand him, but he laughed, and he had all kinds of family come, and he sat up the best he could, and I mean he smiled and he talked the best he could. And that night they give him something because they didn't want him to survive anymore. They kept coming to his room. The first time with those 3 people come in to tell, "What do you want to do? He's going to die," right in front of him. And then somebody else come in and did the same thing 3 different times. Obviously, they didn't want him to survive. You could tell. I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah. Did they that the unit that they moved him to, was that a
Long-term facility.
long-term so a long-term care? Um
Yeah,
okay. All right. And it was in a different part of the hospital. Okay. So
it was.
do you know what they gave him after that day that you're talking about?
They gave him, well, when he lost consciousness and never came back that night. They give him a saline shot, which done him in. It almost They give him one when he was on the vent too, and the doctor made the comment to me that we won't do that again because they had a lot of issues with it with him after that. And that they give him the saline shot. And how I knew is the nurse on the floor come in, and I'm just like crying. I'm like, "What happened yesterday? He was so good. I don't understand what happened." And she said, "I think it was wrong. The doctor had given him a saline shot, and Jerry reacted to it." And they didn't even read the report of the doctor giving him one at the ICU unit, and he reacted and almost, but then, they just kept coming in and saying, "There's nothing more we could do. There's nothing more we could do."
Hmm.
So what do you do? What do you
Yeah, and I
do?
have to wonder if it
I wished
wasn't.
I'd applaud them.
I have to wonder if there was something else in the shot. So, um,
Oh, I'm sure there probably
yeah,
was from what I'm reading. Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
So,
sure.
so when he, so when he was like laughing and he seemed to be doing okay, and then they came in that night. What happened after that? Was that close to the day that he died, or that was the day before? Was that the day before he died?
Day before he died.
Day
Yeah,
before he
they,
died.
they come in and said, "There's nothing more we can do." And what could I do? But, and then I wanted to take him home, but the social service lady kept scaring me, saying, "Well, what if he dies on the way? What if he dies on the way?" So I didn't take him home. I should have, because he wanted to go home. But I was scared that he would die on the way home.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. But just everything about him, everything. everything. And I forgot about all this when he was still in the on the COVID floor. I was so scared about the DNR and all that. And one of his family members says, you need to go and get you a lawyer and become, the
Power of
temporary
attorney.
custodian over him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So I did. And I went in front of the judge. I paid it, everything. And I got it. And the doctors were supposed to talk to me about everything they give him. They never did. Never did. And the doctor wouldn't. I had a bunch of paperwork for him to sign. And when he seen the paperwork, he said, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. And he wouldn't sign it. So I contacted the advocator at the hospital and complained to her. She complained to the doctor. And the doctor come in later that afternoon and said, okay, I'll sign the paperwork. And he signed it. But after that, they never explained to him. When I would ask the nurse, she would tell me, but I didn't understand. They didn't explain anything. The doctor never said, I'm going to do this to him or that to him. They were supposed to talk to me about everything, and they did not.
And they didn't, and certainly didn't give you informed consent.
No.
So were you there the day he died, or did
Oh,
that happen?
yes.
Okay, so you
When
were
he
there.
was transferred to that unit after the ICU, I spent the night, 7 nights with him. I stayed there with him.
Oh, okay.
So
you were there day and night.
I was there. Yeah.
So just describe that day for people so they understand what happened, if you can.
The day what? You cut out. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Describe what happened, and describe that day, the day that he died, for people so that they understand what happened.
Okay. Well, they told me there was nothing more they could do. So I talked to the social worker. I put him on the end of life.
Palliative care.
They said they would
Okay.
yes, they said they would disconnect everything off of him because he didn't need anything anymore. They took out, the air, everything. And I noticed they didn't take the PEC out. So I went out to the front desk and I said, why did you leave the PEC in? And she said, well, I don't know, sometimes they just do that. And I went back to his room and there was 3 nurses in there and he only had 2. And I said, and she was over on the side where the PEC was. She was killing him. Anyways, I said, what are you doing over there?
Okay.
Pardon me?
No, you cut out a little bit.
What?
So she was over on that side, and what happened?
She had already inserted something into the pack, and I come into the room and I said, what are you doing over there? I said, they're supposed to take everything off of him. Why are you over there? And she said, I like using this. And I said, who are you? You're not his nurse. And the other nurse said, she's Jerry's nurse today too. And so, like a dumbass, I just turned around and walked out. I didn't, but she had already inserted whatever she did. And he was gone within 3 hours. He couldn't breathe. He was having a hard time breathing. His heart was stopping. Yeah.
Do you have Jerry's medical records?
I have them all, and that was an ordeal too.
Yeah.
The lawyer told me. I had a lawyer say, get them all. So I went up there, and they give me 250. I come home, I called the lawyer. I said, I got them. I got 250 pages. He laughed. He said, Kim, hon, you should have 25,000 pages.
Yeah.
You go back up there and you tell you want them all. So I called him and, I said, I'm coming back up there. And They said, well, there are any of them. We'll have to put them on a CD. And yes, they, seeing as how they screwed up and didn't give them all to me, they didn't charge me.
Mm-hmm.
I paid the first time for the 28 pages or whatever they give me. And I didn't have to pay it for the rest of them, but I have two CDs
You have two
of
CDs.
everything that they give him, what they've done. Yeah.
Because it would be
Yeah.
interesting to see the medical administration record, because what you described to me is something that we've heard a lot, where they send in a closer, a nurse that's not
Mm-hmm.
assigned, but it's a closer, and then they go and they give that lethal dose of, typically it's like Ativan and morphine and sometimes Haldol or um, some type of other medication that speeds things along. Um, so it would be interesting to know all of the medications that he got. And I don't know if you know where that page is. Well, if you have it in PDF, I could probably search it and find it. But it'd be interesting to see that, because it sounds like there was more, that because they get the money, right, for the
Right.
COVID test, the
Right.
vent, remdesivir, but they also get it for palliative care
Right.
and the
It's a
and
whole big old system.
right, exactly,
It's
exactly.
horrible.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah. It
Is
was
there
it was the most evil thing I ever witnessed in my life. It truly was. It was
is there
sad.
any is there anything else about the hospital experience that you want people to know?
Well, they manipulated me. They
Hmm.
lied to me. They weren't truthful to Jerry. I do not trust them at all. I've got health issues myself, and I'm having issues trusting anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was evil, just evil. That's all I can say. And I hope the doctors that treated him and the nurses that were all involved, I don't care if they got families or not, I hope they go down for everything they've done to all of our loved ones, not
Yeah,
just mine.
because it was clearly
Yeah.
obvious that what was happening, right? I mean, we tell
Well,
these.
yeah, because he was, when I went into his room, he was so thirsty and he was starving, and they wouldn't let me give him anything. They kept saying it's because of his heart. It's because of his heart. And then they had that thing on his face that was just, I mean,
Mhm.
he couldn't even breathe because of it.
It's
That should
torturing.
be outlawed. It is. It is, truly. And they were never there. They just kind of left him alone. They just isolated him. He
Yeah.
didn't have any food. He didn't have any water. They couldn't get out of bed, and they expected him. They give him a thing to go to the bathroom in. He couldn't get out. He had that stroke. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was sad.
Yeah.
I don't wish it upon anybody. And I'm so glad you made it through.
Me too. And I I can I can really, I guess, empathize with what Jerry went through, right? From that end of it, and just,
Absolutely.
being the being treated like, less than human, with the, not leaving him in the jogging pants and the infections, and just like nobody checked on him for days, to not,
Right. They
they
didn't
would have
care.
they would have had to have, it's like, no, that tells me nobody examined him for days because they didn't notice his
No,
jogging pants were wet. And that's
they
crazy.
didn't. I found it. I
Yeah.
noticed it. It was just sad. Just sad.
That's why
Yeah.
it's so important for patients to never be isolated, because family, that's the first sign that neglect and abuse is going to happen, is when family can't be there, or when they're regulated to specific times so that they know when
Correct.
to, and that's an age old before COVID red flag, right? With nursing homes and things like that. Same goes for hospitals. If they limit your access to specific times or not at all, it's a sure sign that people are going to be
Right.
neglected. Um, Talk a little bit about, um, tell people what the impact has been to your life since this happened. This was in Jan- December of
About what?
2021, and he died in January of 2022, right?
I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Oh, so he went in the hospital in December of 2021, and he died in January of 2022. Tell people a little bit
Right.
about what the impact it has been to your life and to your family, and just, did you, like, first of all, did you know right away that they had killed him?
Yes, I knew. I knew. Through the whole stay, I was very combative with the doctors. I was getting information from friends that knew what they were talking
Mhm.
about, and I would try to talk to the doctors, and they would just ignore me, just
Yeah,
or think I was crazy or just storm out of the room.
yeah,
But it impacted, my life, the kids' life, just everything. Him and I had sold our house and bought this fifth wheel, and here I was in the fifth wheel. I
hmm,
still am in the fifth wheel. I can't afford to move out. I can't, the rent's so high everywhere.
yeah,
I ended up making myself sick over all of it because I couldn't do anything to help Jerry. I tried at first. I couldn't do anything. Nobody even wanted to hear his story.
yeah,
Not even family and friends. They just thought I was crazy.
yeah.
So it was a killer just trying to keep it to myself.
Oh yeah, for
And I
sure.
made myself sick. And then I ended up getting bad care and ended up getting C. diff from a dirty equipment from a hospital. But yeah, it affected my whole life. My whole life. He had just bought me a brand new car, an early Christmas present. And then he never even got to sit in the driver's seat.
Oh,
And I mean, it'll be paid off this December, but it's just been very difficult. Very difficult. I finally went and got a job. Finally was able. I felt like I was stable and able. I mean, after Jared, I just lost my confidence. I was a very confident person. I drove a tour bus all over the United States for 18 years. I just lost it all. I still don't drive at night because I
mm.
feel like I don't have my protector to call.
Yeah, right.
But it just affects your life. It affects your life. And
Yeah,
him,
yeah,
he didn't deserve. Nobody deserved it. And I want him to pay. I want him to pay for it. I don't care if anything comes out of it but them being punished
sure.
for doing what they did.
Yeah, and it's just so people who are watching kind of get a feel for this. Like, we have stories from everywhere, and this particular story happened to happen this take place in Missouri, right? So
Right.
it
St. Joseph, Missouri.
yeah, so there's a broad spectrum of states, right? I'm in Texas, you're in Missouri. This isn't just confined to one hospital or a few hospitals in a few states. It's all across the nation, and it's been very broad. Um, so tell us a little bit about, well, let's, in closing, talk about some of your favorite memories of Jerry.
Oh, I can just sit here and just think just left and right. I mean, we just spent everything every day together. That's the kind of couple we were. I mean, when he was home and I was home, we were together. We went to the Walmart together, we went shopping together, did everything together. And my life is just devastated not having him here anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my whole life. I mean, just like everybody and their husband, wives, whatever. I mean, they're their whole life. Yeah.
Even
I
even even the puppies. You always know somebody's a good person when they're a dog person.
Oh, the dogs. He was the big kahuna. He was. I fed them and cleaned them, but they were attached to Daddy.
Right.
They're no longer here. Gizmo passed away a year before Jerry did. Molly passed away a year after, well, 2 years after Jerry did.
Yeah. Is that Gizmo here looking at the camera?
No, that's Molly.
That's Molly. Okay,
Gizmo's,
the other
yeah,
Gizmo.
Gizmo's the one on the side of him.
Right. I like how she
Animals
put,
loved him. He was an animal magnet. At one point, he had 17 horses, a mule, and a donkey,
oh my goodness.
and they
Wow.
all loved him. He was just, animals loved him, kids loved him, people loved him. I mean, we'd be in a different state, and he'd run across somebody he knew. That's how big he was. He was
Oh
just
yeah.
bigger than life in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The kind of guy everybody knew, huh?
right. He was,
Yeah.
yes, very much so.
Well, Kim,
Yeah,
I'm very sorry about what happened to Jerry. I'm sorry what happened to your
thank you.
family. And
Yeah.
you know, as you know, we know so many people that this happened to. We talk, on there's the Facebook group and um so many people in there. There's thousands that are, thousands of that have just woken up to what happened and trying to put their lives back together and get justice and um we probably won't see
Are there
that in,
people getting justice?
um so I know of some people who had settlements, right? Just out of court settlements, but I don't know what those are. I don't know if it's truly about the protocols or what have you, but um I don't think there's many. I know that there's a lot that have tried. There have been hearings that have from a civil court perspective, there's been hearings that, trials where the families have lost. There's been a couple out of um, court settlements, but I don't believe that there really has been justice. And I don't know that we'll get it. I believe the at betrayalprojectusa.org, we believe that justice is going to start with recognition. Once they
Right.
acknowledge that this was what it is. I mean, it's not just an accident. It wasn't just neglect. I mean, it's beyond that. It was very intentional. And once they
It
acknowledge
was.
that
Yes.
crimes have been committed, then I think we'll see some kind of justice. And right
I
now,
think they know. They just have to roll it out slow, but I think they already know.
yeah,
I
and
do.
everybody was complicit, right? The government,
Right.
the
Right.
media, the medical establishment, and so it's like it's hard to get you talked about the police that were when you got off the elevator there, right? Like
That's
even the
crazy.
police even the police were involved, right? They were involved in my story. They're involved so many times. It's one of our playbook items, right? The police. When did you ever think you'd get off the elevator in a hospital to visit your spouse, and there's police saying, what are you doing here? It's like, what are you doing here, officer? Like,
I
you know.
know. He's like, well, we were told that you come up here to harm somebody. I'm like, do I look like I'm going to harm anybody? I said,
Wait,
listen, my husband is up here.
the
He's
police said
sick.
that
I'm
to
not
you?
leaving. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
He
gosh.
said, no, ma'am, you don't look like you're going to harm anybody.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
So I
see,
just
it's like,
sat there till somebody came out.
yeah, see that kind of weird stuff, has to be acknowledged, that 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 happened. Why would the hospital even think that, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
find what you found. It's like, no, they were actually harming him. It was very
They
clear if
were.
he's raw
It
and
was very clear.
yeah,
After it was all of it happened, I sit there and I think about it, and it's plain as day what they did. I mean, it's so evil, and
yeah,
especially that I know about the protocol and I know what they've done, and
yeah,
it's you just think about it, and it's just it's. I mean, you can't even think about it really. Like it's not
yeah,
even true.
right, exactly. I mean,
It's crazy.
yeah, it really
Someday,
is. Someday,
do they still have the Emergency Act on the hospitals?
yes, the prep act, I call it the perp act. It's the prep act, and so they expanded it. They actually just expanded it. So they extended it the last year, right before Trump got back in office. They extended the one on COVID. So it's important for people to know the prep act. It's multiple prep acts. So there's a prep act for COVID. There's a prep act for the flu. There's a prep act for there's a prep act for just about everything, which that's why we need to abolish it completely. But they extended the
Absolutely.
one on COVID to 2029.
Oh my
I know
gosh. Why?
that that was the crazy part. And so we're
We can't
trying to
do
get
anything.
that because it's never going to expire. Everybody kept saying it's going to expire in 2026. It's going to expire in 20, but they extended it to 2029. And so we
Mm,
need that. Not We don't need it to expire. We need the Prep Act is unconstitutional and it needs to just go away. And
right.
then they just last week um added to the Prep Act for hantavirus, this
Mm,
hantavirus that doesn't even pass between people. Um, they put it in and they're like, it's only for a month and it's only to cover one drug. It's not to cover vaccines and yada yada. And I'm like, yeah, does everybody remember 2 weeks to slow the spread? Because
mm,
that's been 6 years. You know what I mean? Like
right.
that turned into 1.6 million people being killed in hospitals. So
Right.
um there's no small thing. So yeah, that's it. Not only does it still exist, it's been extended and expanded, and we need to fight back against it. We do
Absolutely. Because the lawyer won't touch it.
it, right, exactly. That's what people don't understand is you can't get, everybody's like, oh, I would sue the hospital. Sure, in a normal world, but you need a lawyer to sue, and they won't touch it because the prep act, and a lot of times it gets there's still a few cases that are still alive, um, and going to trial that are civil cases, but I it doesn't once the gray share hearing, once that jury came back and did not hold the hospital accountable, that was largely because the jury was ignorant ignorant of the facts. Like they
Right.
believed COVID, it was this big killer, and didn't understand the protocols. And
Right.
I mean, it was clear they still believed ivermectin was horse paste when ivermectin is more, it's safe and
It
effective.
cures so many things. Well, it's
So
coming
many
out that ivermectin and mendazole together can
cures
cure
cancer,
cancer,
and it always
and now
has.
there's yeah. Well, there I'm reading that parasites
Are
is cancer.
is cancer is causing cancer.
Yeah,
Yep, and
yeah.
I think they've proven that. I think they've proven that beyond
Mhm.
any reasonable doubt that that is the fact. And like many years ago, well, for decades, they used ivermectin to treat lice in kids. That's how safe it
Absolutely.
was. So it's
Hmm.
like then suddenly it it it's on the top 10 most effective and safest medications in the world, the World Health Organization's top 10, but they didn't want us to get better,
Well,
right? So
no, they
then they
didn't.
maxed it.
Heck,
So they were
his Jerry's doctor flat out lied to me. One of his ICU doctors, he
yeah,
come in and I was talking. I think they had me under surveillance because
probably,
I
yeah.
had talking to somebody on the phone and he was telling me about the ivermectin.
Mhm.
Anyways, later that afternoon, the doctor come in and just ironically, he said, that ivermectin is for horses. It's for
Yeah, right.
animals. He said, I've been a doctor here for 32 years and ivermectin is not for humans. And I just laughed in his
Right.
face. And I said, I can't believe you're telling me you've been a doctor 32 years and you just flat out lying to me.
Right, exactly, because that is a lie.
It
It's been
is.
it's been there there's been there's a human version. I mean,
There's a
there's
human
antibi
version.
yeah, there's antibiotics that are for dogs that are also for human. There's a dog version of tramadol, it's also for humans. Like, there's a
Absolutely.
it's so, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, uh, vets treated their patients veterinarians treated their patients better than many doctors treated their patients in the hospitals. They're human patients, so
Absolutely.
maybe there's something that can be learned from that.
Yeah, I
Well,
think the doctors need to go back and be retaught
yeah, there
unconventional
yeah,
medicine.
yeah, I think there's probably only about 10% of the doctors that are worth their I always say the test for a doctor now is how did you treat COVID? If they say anything other than ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and budesonide, get yourself a new doctor.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Right.
I
um,
agree.
well, Kim, I want to thank you for number one for being courageous enough to tell your story publicly, because I think that's important. It's very important that people come forward, tell their stories, not just to honor those that have been taken too soon from this horrible thing that's still happening, because the stories, they save lives, they also are going to wake people up, and we need to show, um, we don't have to prove that every individual case was a crime, but we're showing the world that there was a pattern of
Definitely.
behavior, a pattern of, the only people that survived where the standard of care was interrupted. And your husband, a lot of people were killed within 5 to 10 days, and your husband actually, this is a really good example of your husband lived as long as he did because you were allowed to be there, and because you were advocating so fiercely for him, for everything that you did about everything that you could do. And I think that's why he lasted, and he he lasted as long as he could. And they literally, it sounds like, and I would love to see the medications that they gave him and the timing, but it looks like, they had to send somebody in because you were advocating so well. It's
He
absolutely
wouldn't
insane.
die. He wouldn't die. He
Right.
just kept hanging on and they had about enough of it. I mean, three
Right.
different times people come in and said he's going to die.
But
He's
see, you
not
were
going to
there.
make it.
Here's the thing, you were there, and that gave him hope.
It
Like,
did. Yeah.
yeah, they
One
needed.
time they left, and he's like, he acted like he was asleep when they were in there. He had his
Yeah,
eyes closed. When they
yeah,
left, he opened his eyes, he looked at me, and he said, "I'm going to die, aren't I?" I said, "No, you're not. You're not going to die. So don't say that again." But yeah,
wow,
he was around too long. They couldn't anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was obvious.
They
Why would they
threw.
send people in like that left and right and say, "What do you want to do? He's going to die. He's not going to
Yeah,
make it."
yeah, exactly, exactly. They were
Yeah.
gaslighting, and trying to strip hope. So, well,
Well, I
I
had hope to the end.
yeah, and and now it's just it's a matter of us. We're not going to let him be forgotten, and we're not going to stop um, trying to get justice because, like I said, betrayalprojectusa.org is a victim led organization. We have skin in the game. We we're not giving up because all of our lives, the board members, if you look at the board members, they're all victims. Our lives are changed forever. We can never go back to what it was
No, we cannot.
before they killed our loved ones or, tried to kill me in my case. So we're not giving up, and we'll
I'm not
we won't
giving
stop.
up.
Yeah. So
No,
we appreciate it, and I want to encourage people who are watching this to share this video and to and to tell their story if they have one. It's easy to do. We try to make it easy. Hopefully it was easy for you, Kim. And not
it
hard, but
was. I just have a hard time speaking.
it's okay, right?
What's on
Right?
my mind? I've just been very nervous. That's all. I'm glad it's a big relief, really, because I have
Good,
been
good.
wanting to tell Jerry's story. I mean, my sister's here and she'll tell you I've been wanting to tell it. I just wasn't strong enough to tell you the truth. It just,
Well,
the whole losing Jerry just dumbed me down,
well,
made myself sick.
I think you did a beautiful job in telling it. And I
Well,
think you
thank
did a
you.
wonderful job in advocating for him and doing everything that you
I did
could.
advocate for him. I
Yeah.
did.
And
It
I
makes
think
me
that
feel like I could have done more, but I know that there's nothing
yeah.
more I could have done.
Mm-mm. No, you did a great job advocating for him and going up against, pretty much the most difficult thing that you could have ever gone up against. So I appreciate your story, and I would love, people need to really look at this story, even though it didn't end as you would like it to, with him, with saving him. It is a story about how fiercely you have to advocate for a loved one and how you have to
You do.
have eyes on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't leave his side for 7 days when he was in that room. And I was there. I was there every day once they allowed me to come in for 28 days, other than the 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, we appreciate you and thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Gail. I appreciate you taking your time and listening to
Of course.
my sad story.
Of course.
And I would like medical records. I just don't know how to do it.